Kia ora, I'm Stacey.
Kia ora, I'm Jo.
Kia ora, I'm Louise. We're from Huapai School, and we're just going to talk you through some of the steps that we've taken this year as part of our WSL journey.
Our inquiry is focused on teachers connecting and growing their workstream knowledge to create and maintain effective classroom environments. Through our approach of coaching, reflective conversations, and school-wide workstreams, we expect to enable teachers and students to develop their capabilities and hold each other to account by the end of the year.
To provide staff with choice and relevance of a professional development inquiry for 2023, each teacher was able to opt into a professional learning group. These were called work streams and focused on developing maths or literacy programs for our learners. Each group had a facilitator and 4 working groups were formed.
So one of the main things that we did as a starting point for each of the groups was look at a theory for improvement. That's where you set yourselves a team goal that you're going to try and work through for a vision as a collective to take the learning forward for that year. You kind of start with a goal and then you work your way backwards, breaking down each of the steps into actionable things that you can trial within the classroom space.
Our WSL team worked alongside the workstream groups, looking at ways of developing effective learning environments that help to deliver those programs. Our role was to develop mini cycles of inquiry with teachers, to establish current needs and actionable next steps. We collected student voice and fed this back to teachers to compare whether our view matched the experience of the children. For some teachers, the process was affirming the positive shifts they were making to improve their literacy or numeracy delivery. For some needing more guidance, coaching sessions were held to challenge and support further growth. So one of the things we did was went into classrooms and observed lessons in the given program that we were looking at. Then we spoke to some of the children and asked them some specific questions.
So some of the questions were, can you tell me about how you do math or literacy in your class? Do you need the teacher to tell you what to do, or can you find what you need and work on your own?
We found that when we were actually asking the kids the questions, it gave us an opportunity to get a real good insight into not only what we could see observable in the classroom, but also what sort of the children actually thought about the programs that were new to their classroom spaces.
And that led then to conversations with teachers around what their students were saying, how they felt about it, and whether those matched up. And that's where our conversations came from.
Yeah, and it was really cool actually when they did align really well. It was great because it was really affirming for the teachers. The teachers were kind of like, oh, so the kids are saying what we're saying and they're finding the same things and are enthusiastic about the same things, which is great. But it also was a really great step in when a teacher's viewpoint was quite different to what the children thought about the programs and some of the challenges that the kids were facing. So it gave us kind of really great evidence to work with the teacher to kind of look at ways of improving the programs.
It opened up lines of communication. It enabled us to have some challenging conversations with members of staff
And each other
around
how to tackle things.
And this enabled some reflection on teachers' practices and people on their own practice.
So let's think about, like, you know, with the PLG groups, how it really impacted our teams as they were going through. Because talking about the challenging conversations, I felt in our work stream it was really good for people when there was an issue that they needed to resolve. We worked together as a group to actually kind of look at solutions or look at ways forward for that person, which was really effective too.
Yeah, it was great to share the information and to share things that you found difficult or ways to move when you're finding things challenging.
And it didn't matter whether you were in a senior class or had the juniors. You could still use that platform to kind of talk about your practice and what was working well and modify that for whatever level you were in.
Yeah.
We found that really helpful in ours.
They really enjoyed also working alongside people from different year groups to actually see how those programs could be extended or simplified. Which sort of that depth of knowledge was greater, wasn't it? As we head towards the end of the school year, we wanted to provide a platform for staff to reflect on the learning journey that they had experienced. It's an opportunity to look at the direct impact that shifts and changes to our pedagogy have made, how that's impacted our learning environments. We used a story Hui format to break down the journey. What we knew at the start of the year, setting goals and taking action steps, and then the final, which is reflecting on the direct impacts that the learning has had. It has always been about supporting actionable steps forward for our teachers, identifying what children need and putting our kids first. Good data collection is as much about gathering good, solid voice and considering the pastoral needs of our learners as it is about percentage gains from our assessment data. So this part of our journey was the final collaboration, to celebrate as a staff and share one another's work through a chosen creative approach. Our wine and cheese afternoon will be held next week in week 7. Our findings from this will help to shape which programmes Huapai will consider pushing forward with in 2024.